Have you ever wondered how commercial growers turn just a handful of strawberry plants into hundreds of healthy young plants every single season? When we first started growing strawberries, we thought the secret was buying more plants every year. Whenever we wanted a larger strawberry patch, we simply ordered new plants. It seemed like the easiest solution. But after a few seasons, we realized something. The healthiest strawberry plants in our garden weren't the ones we bought. They were the ones we propagated ourselves. That completely changed the way we grow strawberries. Today, instead of buying dozens of new plants every season, we use healthy mother plants to produce hundreds of strong runners. The process isn't difficult, but there are several small details that make an enormous difference. Most gardeners never pay attention to these details, which is why they often end up with weak planting material. Let's start from the very beginning. Everything starts with the mother plant. Not every strawberry plant should become a mother plant. Some plants produce beautiful fruit, but weak runners. Others produce many runners, but poor quality berries. Over time, we learned that choosing the right mother plants is one of the most important decisions in the entire propagation process. Healthy leaves, strong crowns, good root development, no signs of disease. Those are the plants that deserve to produce the next generation. Every weak mother plant creates weak runners. Every strong mother plant creates an opportunity for dozens of healthy young plants. Once healthy runners begin growing, another important decision appears. Most gardeners simply leave every runner wherever it lands. We used to do exactly the same. It seemed faster. It required almost no planning. But months later, when it was time to dig those plants, we discovered how much extra work we had created for ourselves. Some runners had become large, powerful plants. Others were still small.
Some were ready to transplant.
Others needed much more time. Everything was mixed together. Harvesting became slow. Sorting became frustrating. Every few minutes we had to stop, compare plants, choose another one, and continue digging. That was the moment we completely changed our system. Now we organize every runner before planting. Large runners stay together. Medium runners stay together. Small runners grow in their own section. At first this takes a little longer, but months later it saves an incredible amount of time. Need large plants? Go to one section. Need medium plants? Go to another. Want to leave the smallest runners for another few weeks? No problem. Everything is already organized. Instead of searching through the entire bed, we simply move from one section to another. This one simple habit completely changed the way we harvest strawberry plants. It also creates another unexpected benefit. Plants of similar size develop much more evenly. Large runners no longer compete with tiny ones. Small runners receive enough sunlight. Watering becomes more uniform. Even fertilizing becomes easier because plants grow at nearly the same speed. Good organization doesn't just save time. It produces healthier planting material. But there is another decision that made an even bigger difference: the way we prepare the planting beds. After trying different methods over several seasons, we stopped planting directly into open soil. Instead, every new strawberry bed is prepared as a raised bed. Raised beds improve drainage. They warm up faster in spring. Working around the plants becomes much easier. Harvesting is more comfortable. And, perhaps most importantly, the entire planting looks cleaner and more organized. But the raised beds alone weren't enough. The next improvement saved us hundreds of hours of work. Instead of leaving bare soil between the plants, we covered every bed with heavy landscape fabric. At first, we weren't sure if it was worth the extra cost. Many gardeners try to save money by planting directly into soil. We completely understand that. We thought exactly the same. Then the first growing season ended. Suddenly we realized something. Instead of spending every weekend fighting weeds, we only needed to remove an occasional weed growing through the planting hole. Everything else stayed clean. The rows remained organized. The plants had less competition. And maintenance became dramatically easier. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can buy isn't a product. It's time. That landscape fabric gave us exactly that. Time to care for the plants instead of fighting weeds. Time to prepare new runners. Time to improve the garden instead of constantly maintaining it. And that wasn't the only small change that increased our production. One planting habit surprised us more than anything else. Instead of placing only one runner into every planting hole, we often planted two, sometimes even three. At first this seems unusual. Many gardeners worry the plants will compete with each other. But our goal wasn't simply growing one perfect strawberry plant. Our goal was building a productive strawberry bed. When several healthy runners established together, they fill the planting space much faster. The crowns develop into one strong clump. The soil becomes shaded earlier. Weeds have less room to grow. The entire bed looks full much sooner. Of course, this only works with healthy planting material. Weak runners should never be crowded together. But when strong runners are planted correctly, the results can be surprisingly good. And once the beds were fully established, we noticed something else happening underneath the landscape fabric that almost no one ever talks about. One of the biggest surprises wasn't something we could see from above. It was happening underneath the landscape fabric. At first glance, everything looked perfect. The beds were clean. The plants were healthy. The weeds were under control. But when we occasionally lifted the fabric to inspect the soil, we discovered something unexpected. There were tunnels, signs of mice moving beneath the beds. That was an important reminder. Even when a strawberry field looks perfect from the surface, you still need to pay attention to what is happening below. Healthy plants require regular observation, not just watering, not just fertilizing. Sometimes preventing a problem is much easier than solving one after the damage has already been done. The same is true for slugs. Many gardeners believe that once the soil is covered with landscape fabric, slug problems disappear. Unfortunately, that's not always true. The planting holes still provide moisture and shelter. That means regular inspection remains just as important as ever. Healthy strawberry plants are built on consistency. Small inspections throughout the season prevent much larger problems later. But perhaps the biggest question every gardener asks is this: what is the best planting material? After working with strawberries for many seasons, we finally had the opportunity to compare 3 different options: traditional runners, plug plants,
And Frigo plants.
Each one has advantages. Each one also has disadvantages. Let's start with runners. For us, runners are still one of the most valuable ways to expand a strawberry planting. If the mother plants are healthy, every season they naturally produce dozens of new plants. That means your strawberry field continues growing almost by itself. But there is one important condition. Never keep weak runners simply because they exist. Not every runner deserves a place in next year's planting. Some are too small. Some have weak crowns. Some developed poor root systems. Instead of planting everything, we became much more selective. Only the strongest runners move forward. Everything else is removed. That single decision improved the overall quality of our planting material dramatically. The next option is plug plants. Plug plants require much more preparation. Every young plant must develop inside its own container until a healthy root ball forms. This takes more time, more growing media, more work. But the reward is consistency. Almost every plug plant begins growing immediately after transplanting. Because the roots remain undisturbed, transplant shock is minimal. The field develops much more evenly. Commercial growers often choose plug plants because every row begins looking almost identical. For gardeners who enjoy producing their own planting material, plug plants can be an excellent option. But they do require patience. Then we tested something completely different: Frigo plants. These plants immediately caught our attention. The first thing we noticed wasn't the leaves. It wasn't the crown. It was the roots. The root systems were incredibly strong.
Long. Healthy.
Well developed. Exactly what you hope to see before planting begins. Professional nurseries invest years into producing disease-free planting material. That work becomes obvious the moment you examine the roots. Strong roots establish quickly. Strong roots recover faster. Strong roots create vigorous plants. Does that automatically mean Frigo plants are always the best choice?
No.
Healthy runners from strong mother plants can produce outstanding results. Plug plants provide incredible uniformity. Frigo plants offer premium planting material with exceptional root systems. Each system has a purpose. Each system fits a different type of grower. Instead of asking, which one is the best? We now ask, which one is the best for this situation? That simple change in thinking helped us make much better decisions. But regardless of which planting material you choose, there is one thing that matters even more: the variety itself. Because after growing several different strawberry varieties side by side, we quickly realized something fascinating. Some varieties produced huge berries. Others produced incredible flavor. Some created strong runners almost immediately. Others focused entirely on fruit production. Choosing the right variety turned out to be just as important as choosing the right planting material. And some of the results genuinely surprised us.